Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Brazil to attend the 19th G20 Leaders Summit at Rio de Janeiro. World turns to G20 for progress on climate talks. While leaders failed to reach a consensus on climate finance deal at COP29 in Azerbaijan's Baku, talks on at G20 in Rio to reach a consensus on the same. In a significant policy change before the power shift, US President Joe Biden allows Ukraine to use US-supplied long-range missiles for strikes inside Russia. And Super Typhoon Mang, the sixth to hit the Philippines in a month, barreled through Luzon, more than 1 million evacuated. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro to attend the G20 Summit being held from November 18th to 19th. Prime Minister Modi was deeply touched after receiving the warmest welcome at the Hotel National in Rio de Janeiro. As Prime Minister stepped off the plane and made his way through the hotel, he was greeted by an outpouring of love and affection from many members of the Indian community who had gathered to show their pride and admiration for their leader of their homeland. On a social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote, and I quote him, "Landed in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil to take part in the G20 Summit. I look forward to the summit deliberations and fruitful talks with various world leaders." Unquote. Now, let's show you some of the reactions from the Indian community who welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But first, we take a look at his itinerary. Prime Minister Modi will attend the launch of the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, after which PM Modi will visit the Museum of Modern Art today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to attend the first session of G20 on fight against hunger and poverty. After concluding the first session, Prime Minister Modi will attend the second session on reform of the institutions of global governance. Prime Minister Modi will also meet various leaders on the sidelines of the G20, and the Indian Prime Minister will also attend an event on digital public infrastructure. So people who welcomed the Indian Prime Minister in Brazil presented different slices of Indian culture, music and dance, as well as traditional spiritualism to him. Interestingly, one group presented the song and dance off his home state, Gujarat. DD India's Gotham Roy spoke with the women who performed Garba and Dandiya to welcome Prime Minister Modi in Brazil.
A vibrant and energetic performance of Garba and Dandiya also greeted India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he arrived in Rio at his place of stay to attend the G20 Summit. We have some of the performers.
We performed Garba Ras for PM Modi ji on the guidance of our teacher Gyaneshri ji, who's from Sao Paulo, and we are from Rio, so we connected on internet, on Zoom calls and WhatsApp calls. We've been practicing, and she's been sending us videos of how to do the dance, and we finally met yesterday for the first time, and we practiced here in first meeting. So PM sir was also very impressed that we made good use of technology, and we made this performance a success.
What did the Prime Minister say to you when he finally saw this performance?
He was very, very, very happy, and for us it's a big present for being a performer. So I would really thank that he patiently watched our complete performance.
It's very, very special for us. Yeah, we are so happy, very happy.
And how did you encourage her to do this? Your husband, I presume.
As an Indian, we always support our wife. That's what we learn from our seniors, our parents, and all. That is how we are doing.
Well, they say that music and dance is a true expression of joy or sorrow. In this case, it is joy. immeasurable joy as far as the Indian diaspora in Brazil is concerned, because they've met the Prime Minister here on his visit to Rio for the G20 Summit. And well, the expression, of course, is that this is a successful visit, and the leaders too of the G20 come to these positions on tractious global issues that will take the world forward. With the camera person Loknath, Gotham Roy, Rio, Brazil, DD India.
DD India's Gotham Roy spoke to the children of the Indian community who welcomed Prime Minister Modi by singing India's national song, Vande Mataram.
Among the performances that greeted Prime Minister Modi when he arrived in Rio to attend the G20 Summit was a performance of Vande Mataram, and there were a lot of children, little ladies, if I could say, in that group as well. Let's talk to some of them. How did you prepare for this song? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Were you nervous before the Prime Minister or excited?
Yes, but it's very easy and very excited.
And did he say something to you?
He said very good beta. Like, it was very special for so many days. It took a long time to meet him. It was our first time to meet. I sang Vande Mataram, and the meaning of Vande Mataram is I bow to my Mother Earth.
PM also speak to you and appreciate your performance?
Yes,
What kind of hard work did you put in for it?
like singing for him.
Good, great. That's wonderful. So there you have it. A lot of different efforts made to ensure that Prime Minister Modi, when he lands in Rio, is greeted by all the enthusiasm that a very small diaspora really here in Brazil, about 4,000 strong, can muster for him, and put the path forward for him to lead not just the nation but the entire world as far as the G20 Summit is concerned, to success on various challenging fronts. With camera person Loknath, this is Gautam Roy in Rio, Brazil, DD India.
Vedic chants by a Brazilian acharya with his disciples was also among those who welcomed the Indian Prime Minister. DD India's Gautam Roy spoke to the acharya after the performance.
One of the things that the Prime Minister witnessed was a recital of Vedic chants that was performed by Acharya Masethi here and his disciples. Thank you for speaking to us. How was the experience and what did the PM say to you?
Oh, I got very emotional. For us, it's very meaningful to express our gratitude in the form of these mantras. We have been studying here in Brazil for so many years. I'm studying for 20 years, each one of us at least 8-10 years. And be able to show our respect and our gratitude is very important for us.
And what was the chant about? Did the meaning get conveyed to the Prime Minister? Did he say something about that?
Yes, the chanting is about invoking the grace of the Lord Ishvara so that the Vedic knowledge could spread all over the world.
And the Prime Minister already knew about you. He's talked about you in his radio program. It's called Man Ki Baat as well. Did he make a mention of that?
No, what I understand is that he, on the whole context of what is happening in the Vedic tradition in the world, we here being so far away and with so much people giving so much effort to this knowledge and to spread the Vedic tradition, so that's the reason why he praised us on that moment.
And does this also contain a wish for him in terms of having a successful engagement with the other G20 leaders? He's here for the G20 Summit.
No doubts. All the Vedic prayers are very powerful, and we chanted for Medha, meaning the clarity of mind, and I'm sure that that will be present on G20.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us. Well, there you have it, Vedic chants for an auspicious start of the Prime Minister's visit to Rio in Brazil this time around for the G20 Summit. With camera person Loknath, this is Gautam Roy in Rio for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also greeted by members of the Indian diaspora from different businesses and professions when he reached Rio de Janeiro. Gautam Roy spoke to some of them about how they've been contributing to better trade and other ties between India and Brazil.
A segment of Indians who have settled in Brazil and are in different professions or even in businesses also greeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he landed in Rio for the G20 Summit, and we have some of them with us. What does it really mean, this particular stream of activity that you're in business or profession for this country, Brazil, that you're contributing to?
So company has done more than 2.5 billion investments as a group, Indorama Ventures and my colleague and Indorama Corporation. So company has already have more than 3,000 employees here and making significant investments, and we are keep looking for acquisitions. Company grew very fast in last 5 years, and we have a great hope.
What sort of meaning does it hold for people here in Brazil and also for India?
I think this visit of Modi ji, it was when he shook hands with all of us, it was mesmerizing. I think the feeling which you get, the goosebumps which you get inside is amazing, He has an electrifying aura, I think, and a personality. Probably looks much more younger what he looks on the TV, So at his age, 74, I only wish that Modi ji continues, running our country, making us all proud, and we continue being, growing under his leadership. And I'll say a few words in Hindi कि भगवान हमारी उम्र भी उनको लगाए ताकि वो और अच्छे रहें, स्वस्थ रहें और हमारे देश का नाम रोशन करते रहें.
How are you contributing to not just Brazil's progress, because you are here now, but to India's as well?
Card Limited, which manufacture human insulin. We are globally #1 in the human insulin supply, and recently we have made a tie-up with Ministry of Health of Brazil to make a technology transfer for human insulin from India to here to manufacture and support the Brazilian government and the local supply of to the patients at the affordable cost, and being one of the quality products from India. And we are really proud of Modi ji for making India at the highest level, and we are zeal and enthusiastic to support and getting a government support to have a good negotiation with the Brazilian government. And India being a pharmacy capital of the world, that shows that how the Modi ji has made us so proud.
Tell us about your experience as well of greeting Prime Minister Modi and what that experience meant for you as a professional.
We are here experiencing, like I said, goosebumps, and we are meeting for the first time to him. And it was like a heavenly feeling seeing him here in person and feeling him as a persona, the energy was so great here with our Indian community and welcoming him into Brazil.
Thank you. So that's the sentiment really here, even among the Indian community that is settled in Brazil, contributing very fruitfully, meaningfully to Brazilian society and its economy. And they have, of course, the wish to take it forward as well, along with the Indian government, and further strengthen relations with Brazil. With camera person Loknath, Gotham Roy, Rio, Brazil, DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Still to come on the show. From the fight against hunger and poverty, energy transitions, climate finance, solving the global conflicts, can Brazil's G20 deliver? UN Chief Antonio Guterres laments the state of COP29 talks in Baku and calls on G20 leaders to do more to fight climate change. Joe Biden becomes the first sitting US president to visit the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, flags off the dangers of global warming to the world.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Brazil is all set to host the two-day 19th G20 Summit from today in the city of Rio de Janeiro. Brazil, which took over from the presidency of India in November last year, has built its presidency on the theme Building a Just World and a Sustainable Planet. It has three key priorities within it: social inclusion and the fight against hunger and poverty, energy transitions and the promotion of sustainable development, and reform of global governance institutions. So the G20 meet is happening at the same time as the COP29 Climate Conference is happening in Azerbaijan. In view of this, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on G20 members to use their power of leverage to tackle key global issues such as climate and peace in Gaza, Ukraine and Sudan. Speaking from Rio de Janeiro on Sunday, he stressed the urgency of climate action, warning of catastrophic consequences if major economies fail to act.
And I have come to Rio with a simple message. G20 leaders must lead. And G20 countries, by definition, have tremendous economic clout and they yield massive diplomatic leverage. They must use it to tackle key global problems.
So the spotlight is naturally on the G20 countries as they account for 80% of global emissions. Elsewhere in Baku, this year's UN Climate Conference is being labelled as the Finance COP, with delegates expected to finalize the financial contributions that wealthier nations will provide to support developing countries. Sources say 20 major economies have reached a fragile consensus on climate finance. Heads of states will spend Monday and Tuesday addressing issues from poverty and hunger to reform of global institutions. Further conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine and the return of Donald Trump and the helm of US politics also have made the path forward complicated. Trump's campaign promised once again to withdraw the US, which is the largest historical emitter of greenhouse gases and a major oil and gas producer, from the 2015 Paris Agreement. Experts believe that developed countries, multilateral banks and the private sector must contribute at least $1 trillion to developing nations. Meanwhile, Joe Biden became the first sitting US president to visit the Amazon rainforest on Sunday, flagging the dangers of global warming, often dismissed by President-elect Donald Trump. Biden also went to the Museum of the Amazon in Manaus, where he met with indigenous leaders who want to protect the rainforest. He flew from Lima, Peru to Manaus, Brazil to meet with local leaders working to preserve the rainforest. Biden was accompanied by Brazilian scientist and Nobel Prize winner Carlos Nobre. Biden also signed a proclamation designating the International Conservation Day. In his 4-hour stop in Manaus, Biden announced an additional $50 million contribution to the Amazon Fund, bringing the US commitment to $100 million for the same. And Ruchira Berry, Senior Fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation, joins us for more on what to expect from the summits underway in the world. First of all, let's start with G20, ma'am. What makes this G20 summit special?
Yeah, this G20 summit comes after India's presidency. So India is hoping that there will be continuity in the summit. All the issues that India had discussed, that about sustainable development, green transition, women's development, sustainable finance, those are the issues that India had discussed, and we hoped that these issues would also be taken up by Brazil, and Brazil has taken up these issues. Brazil is discussing poverty alleviation and sustainable development, social inclusion, green energy transition, and also global governance reforms, which is also part of India's presidency's objectives. So I think there is continuity, and there is a hope that there would be consensus among the leaders when they meet and discuss these important issues which are facing the world today: climate change, transition, energy transition towards fuels which would help in reducing the damage of which the climate change is doing, and also moving towards reform of the multilateral order, which does not reflect the reality of the world as exists today, and also the focus on global south. See, Brazil is part of the Troika. We had the G20 summit last year in India. It's Brazil now, and the next it will be South Africa. So the global south countries have this unique opportunity to bring forward their views on various issues, and I'm sure this summit will also feature in the views and aspirations of the Global South as projected by Brazil.
Yes, so it will be the first time that the African Union will be also part of the G20 summit. Do you think Brazil has a lot on its agenda carrying forward from the successful presidency of India last year?
Yes, they would try. Obviously, there is, the Brazilians have a lot to catch up with. There was a momentous decision taken in the last G20 summit where India brought in, through its efforts, the African Union, bringing in the voice of 54 African countries to the table of G20. This was a unique move. While Brazil continues to focus on Africa, the African Union is present, and so are the other African countries. South Africa was already a member of G20, and they have also invited some other guest countries from Africa, like Nigeria. So it will be obviously a difficult path for the Brazilians to match up with the kind of initiatives that India had taken, but we hope for the best.
Yes, one hopes for the best. And one of the sessions of the G20, like you mentioned, ma'am, is reform of the institutions of global governance. Which institutions will be discussed in particular? What are the reforms that the G20 and especially the developing countries in the G20 will be looking for? And what is the likelihood of making some headway in these reforms?
These are global governance reforms in terms of the reforms within the Bretton Woods institutions, within the UNSC, bringing in the voices of the Global South within this forum. This is something which may be discussed, and how should the multilateral development banks, how should they be shaping up? Are they properly representing the reality of the world today? I think these are some of the issues which may be discussed during the summit.
And what do you think Prime Minister Modi is going to highlight in his speeches at these sessions?
He will definitely try to focus on the continuity of the agenda of Global South in this summit, and the fact that the sustainable development and fintech, that there should be focus on finance, sustainable finance for the Global South. I think these are some of the issues which the Prime Minister might highlight.
Okay, taking a practical view, how optimistic are you that this G20 will be successful in achieving its stated objectives, and what could be the hindrances in the way?
See, the main the objectives are really big. They are ideal in terms of elevating hunger and poverty. That is one of the objectives. Energy transition is the other. Providing or facilitating finance, sustainable finances is the third. So I don't think this would lead to an end to. This would serve as a panacea to all the problems that the Global South is moving, but we may take the first step towards that direction. The good part is that that Brazil will have. The challenge for Brazil is that at the moment that we are currently facing geopolitical tensions, which might lead to conflict between some of the members. So, coming to a consensual leadership statement will be difficult for the Brazilians to forge, but hopefully with the help of India and the other members, this may be possible.
Okay, interestingly, ma'am, the next COP30 summit would be held in Brazil, and of course Brazil is holding the G20. Now the UN Secretary General has stressed the urgency of climate action and warned of catastrophic consequences if major economies fail to act. So if you could elaborate, if the world could act to avoid these catastrophic consequences, which we are seeing these extreme weather patterns across the globe.
Yeah, so these, nothing can work by just stating things. You know, the world has to work together. These are the problems which are faced by countries across the world. These are global issues. So there's a need for a global partnership. The developing countries alone cannot resolve this. They need help. They need technology. They need finance from the developed countries to deal with the climate challenge. And unless the developed countries are serious about supporting the developing countries, we will not be able to resolve this, and we will have a permanent haze in in our climatic conditions if we do not heed to the warning of the UN Secretary General.
So how hopeful are you, ma'am, of finance COP, which at COP29 likely to succeed in finalizing the adequate contributions of wealthier countries to support developing countries?
Yeah, we hope that this would materialize, because it is a very important part of it, as I had mentioned earlier also, that without the finance, how do you expect developing countries to deal with this? The developed countries have used all kinds of energies which have damaged the environment, and now they expect the developing countries, which have really a financial crunch, to deal with this on their own. So finance is an important aspect of it, and we hope that this COP would be able we will be able to get a consensus on this.
And what happens to the world's efforts to fight climate change should the US under Donald Trump withdraw from the Paris Agreement again?
Yeah, that's again, you all know the views of President Trump. So if he withdraws, then obviously this would lead to a kind of downfall in our expectations on the climate change solutions coming anywhere near in the future.
Okay, thank you, Ruchita Berry Ji, Senior Fellow at Vivekananda International Foundation. A lot to expect from the talks ahead at the G20. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Donald Trump taps big tech critic Brendan Carr to lead the US Communications Agency, calls him a warrior for free speech. Supreme Court of India wraps the Delhi government over pollution and the delay in implementing GRAP 4 measures in the national capital. And the US signs an intelligence sharing agreement with the Philippines in Manila.
Goa, an adventure paradise like none other. From lush forests to rugged hills, from pristine ocean beach stretches to stunning lakes, there is something to explore in every corner of the state. And some adventures are wilder than others. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. A quick reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Brazil to attend the 19 G20 Leaders Summit at Rio de Janeiro. World turns to G20 for progress on climate talks. While leaders fail to reach a consensus on climate finance deal at COP29 in Azerbaijan, talks on at G20 in Rio to reach a consensus on the same. In a significant policy change before the power shift, US President Joe Biden allows Ukraine to use US-supplied long-range missiles for strikes inside Russia. And Super Typhoon Mang, the sixth to hit the Philippines in a month, barrels through Luzon, more than 1 million evacuated. The US and its allies had been working to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs through the end of 2025 as a way to Trump-proof US security aid. In the series, making a significant policy shift, the US has allowed Ukraine to use the long-range missiles provided by aid to use inside Russia. This comes at a time when President-elect Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed that the Ukraine-Russia war would not have started if he had been the commander-in-chief. DD India's Kajal reports.
The United States President Joe Biden's administration for the first time has authorized Ukraine to use US-supplied ATACMS long-range missiles to strike inside Russia. The decision, made with 2 months left in Biden's term, allows Ukraine to target Russian forces in the Kursk region. The move comes in response to North Korea's decision to send thousands of troops to Russia. Reacting to the reports, Ukraine's President Volodymyr said such things are not announced. Missiles speak for themselves, as he has been pushing for the removal of restrictions, seeking permission to strike beyond Ukraine's borders.
Today there's a lot of talk in the media about us receiving permission for respective actions, but strikes are not carried out with words. Such things are not announced. Missiles will speak for themselves. They certainly will. Glory to Ukraine.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has meanwhile said permanent escalation must be avoided in Ukraine.
And progress on poverty and hunger.
Firstly, our position has been very clear regarding the needs to avoid a permanent escalation of the Ukraine war. We want peace, but we want peace with justice, in line with the resolutions of the General Assembly, with the Charter of the United Nations, and with international law.
On Sunday, Russia launched its largest airstrike on Ukraine in months, targeting energy infrastructure across the country. The strikes left tens of people and many others injured in the northeastern city of Sumy. In response, Ukraine announced nationwide emergency power restrictions starting Monday. Kajal's report for DD India.
On to the other conflict in West Asia. Hezbollah has confirmed the death of its media relations chief, Mohammad Afif, in an Israeli strike on Sunday in central Beirut. Israel has rarely hit senior Hezbollah personnel who do not have clear military roles, and its airstrikes have mostly targeted Beirut's southern suburbs, where the group has its heaviest presence. Israel's military, which earlier declined to comment, issued a statement late on Sunday, reporting that it had eliminated Afif. The Lebanese Health Ministry said that the strike had killed 1 and injured 3. A second separate strike later on Sunday hit Mars Elias Street, another central area, killing at least 2 people and injuring 22 others. Schools and higher educational institutions in Beirut and surrounding areas have also been shut to exercise caution. US President-elect Donald Trump continues to nominate allies for his new White House team. Trump tapped Republican Brendan Carr as the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. Trump, in a statement on Sunday, called Carr a warrior for free speech. Carr first joined the FCC in 2012. In 2017, during his first term as president, Trump appointed him as one of the agency's commissioners. Carr had previously worked as a lawyer specialized in regulatory issues. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Monday emphasized the United States' unwavering commitment to its defense treaty ally, the Philippines, after the two countries signed an intelligence sharing agreement in Manila. The Philippines has expressed confidence that the alliance will remain strong under incoming US President Donald Trump. Austin held bilateral meetings with Philippines Secretary of National Defense Gilberto Teodoro, signing and exchanging military information agreements as well as participating in a groundbreaking ceremony. Senegal's ruling party claimed that it had won a comfortable victory in Sunday's legislative elections, paving the way for it to deliver an ambitious reform agenda 8 months after sweeping to power. Voting took place peacefully across the West African nation, where the governing PASTEF party said 90 to 95% of ballots had already been counted. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's PASTEF party had emerged as the vote winner in most of the first polling stations, giving their provisional results, according to media reports, beating the two main opposition parties. Faye secured victory in March, pledging economic transformation, social justice and a fight against corruption, raising hopes among a largely youthful population facing high inflation and widespread unemployment. Uruguayan president candidates Alvaro Delgado and Yamandu Orsi engaged in a debate focused on the economy on Sunday evening. Delgado, the Conservative ruling party candidate, defended the outgoing president's policies, while his main rival Orsi criticized the South American nation's current economic situation. Both candidates pledged not to increase taxes. The debate concluded on a reconciliatory note, with both candidates shaking hands and expressing their aspirations to govern for all Uruguayans. In the first electoral round, Orsi secured 43.7% of the votes and Delgado trailed with 26.9%. As no candidate received over 50% of the first round vote, Orsi and Delgado are set to compete in a second round on November 24th. On to Asia. Sri Lanka's newly appointed cabinet of ministers was sworn in today before President Anura Kumara Dissanayake at the President's Secretariat in Colombo. The 21-member cabinet comprises a blend of seasoned politicians and fresh talent, aiming to address the nation's pressing issues and chart a path towards sustainable development. Dr. Harini Amarasuraya continues as the Prime Minister, and she will also oversee the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education. Her dual role highlights the administration's emphasis on reforming education and enhancing vocational training opportunities to empower the workforce. Vijita Herath continues as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism. Other key appointments include Bimal Ratanayake, who has been assigned the portfolio of transport, highways and civil aviation, while Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa has been given the charge of health and media. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar congratulated his Sri Lankan counterpart Vijita Herath on his reappointment. Jaishankar said he looks forward to working together to further strengthen the historic bonds of friendship between India and Sri Lanka and deepen their wide-ranging partnership for mutual benefit. Bangladesh is seeking the extradition of ousted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India in August. Dhaka has already issued an arrest warrant for the 77-year-old Hasina, who was last seen arriving in India after escaping by a helicopter as crowds stormed her palace. Interim leader Muhammad Yunus stated that his administration is focused on ensuring that those responsible for suppressing the protests that led to Hasina's ouster are held accountable. The 84-year-old Nobel Peace Prize winner was appointed to lead the government as chief advisor on August 9th, days after the end of Hasina's 15 years of rule. A super typhoon has made second landfall on the Philippines' main island of Luzon, with forecasters warning of life-threatening storm surge, heavy rains and severe winds. More than 1 million people have been ordered to evacuate since warnings were first issued. Manye is the 6th typhoon to hit the Philippines in a month, with at least 160 people known to have died in the previous 5 storms. It uprooted trees, brought down power lines, crushed wooden houses and triggered landslides, but did not cause serious flooding. The super typhoon already ripped through Catanduanes, where it uprooted trees, damaged some buildings and pulled down power lines. Earlier on Sunday, dozens of flights were cancelled due to the incoming storm Mang, which weakened significantly as it traversed through the mountains of Luzon and was downgraded to a severe tropical storm as it swept over the South China Sea towards Vietnam on Monday. On to India now. The national capital and the national capital region continue to reel under severe air quality, breaching the severe plus level with an average air quality index of 483 on Monday. Shallow to moderate fog was observed during the early morning hours today in different parts of the national capital. The India Meteorological Department has forecast that Delhi NCR is likely to experience smog and shallow fog during the night and morning hours over the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court of India today strongly reprimanded the Delhi government and the Central Commission CAQM for the delay in implementing the Graded Response Action Plan or GRAP in the national capital. The top court pointed out that there was a delay in the implementation of preventive measures under stage 4 of the GRAP, even after the AQI touched alarming levels in the national capital. The court ordered that the GRAP stage 4 restrictions will remain in place until further instructions from the court, even if the AQI goes below 400. The Delhi government on Sunday had announced the implementation of restrictions under GRAP stage 4, following which the new set of restrictions have come into force from 8 in the morning on Monday. The restrictions under GRAP 4 include the entry of truck traffic into Delhi has been stopped except for trucks carrying essential commodities. The LCVs, light commercial vehicles registered under Delhi will not be permitted other than that of EVs or CNG or BS4 diesel vehicles. And then a strict ban has been enforced on applying of Delhi registered BS4 and below diesel operated medium goods vehicles and heavy goods vehicles in Delhi, except those carrying essential commodities. And banning of construction and demolition activities is in force, as was in the GRAP stage 3, also for linear public projects such as highways, roads, flyovers, overbridges, power transmission pipelines, telecommunication, etc. So, the NCR state governments will take a decision on allowing public, municipal and private offices to work on 50% strength and the rest to work from home. Central government may take appropriate decision on permitting work from home for employees in central government offices, children, elderly and those with respiratory, cardiovascular, cerebrovascular or other chronic diseases to avoid outdoor activities and stay indoors as much as possible. And in another major step to provide relief to kids of Delhi, government has announced the discontinuation of physical classes for all students except for those in class 10th and 12th. It said that all the schools will hold online classes until further orders. For the Delhi NCR area, meetings are anticipated to take place on Monday and information will be disseminated during the school break. Confederation of Indian Industry, in collaboration with the All India Council for Technical Education and the Association of Indian Universities, organized the National Higher Education Summit at New Delhi with a vision set on India at 100. The summit focuses on empowering India's future workforce with the skills and knowledge essential for a rapidly evolving global landscape. Experts from academia, industry and government discussed innovative strategies to enhance higher education, preparing young Indians to lead and excel in the decades to come.
We have to become Vikasit Bharat if we have to really have our national goals well set as per the NEP 2020. We need to reverse that VUCA, the alphabets starting from the reverse. Instead of ambiguous, we have to make ourselves very right aptitude and attitude has to be developed. See, complexity is there, but can we make it collaborative? Can we be cooperative? Still competitive? And then there is uncertainty, no doubt, But can we be united in our efforts, then that we will become volatile, but it will give us entire thing being evaporated problems, and then finally we will be victorious.
We have to ensure every student, regardless of their background, has access to quality education and tools they need to thrive in an innovation-driven world. What AICT is doing in this? So we are making sure that every engineer, whether he is a core engineering student, civil, mechanical, electrical, we are putting AI and data science, robotics and all into that programs. And we have given a multidisciplinary education to all of them. A lot of flexibility we have brought. We have given a lot of freedom to the institutions.
You're watching DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. India's industrial production touches 3.1% in September, with a rebound also seen in the startups. International Monetary Fund delegation is in Sri Lanka to conduct the third review of the island nation's financing program. And world observes the Antimicrobial Resistance Awareness Week with the focus on urgent action against drug resistance.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to some business news now. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world and it continues to grow. Startup funding in 2024 has increased by 10% year on year, touching $9.78 billion compared to $8.88 billion during the same period last year. Investors attribute the revival of the country's strong markets, which are inspiring confidence in IPO, initial public offering bound startups offering viable exit opportunities. Startups in the country have been able to create an estimated 40,000 new jobs over the year, taking the total jobs in the startup ecosystem to 1.6 to 1.7 lakh. Significantly, the number of women entrepreneurs stood at 14%, up from 10% and 11% in the previous 2 years. India is set to enter a new era of connected cars in 2025 with the introduction of vehicles featuring 5G M2M connectivity, artificial intelligence and cloud-based technologies. According to TechOx India Connected Consumer Report 2025, the Indian automotive sector will skip 4G connectivity and adopt 5G directly by 2025 to enhance in-vehicle experiences. Cars in India will come equipped with 5G M2M connectivity, Generation AI, Gen AI and cloud services, making these technologies standard in vehicles priced above 20 lakh rupees. These innovations will enable real-time data processing. The shift towards connected cars is expected to transform the automotive landscape, making advanced in-vehicle technologies that were once seen as luxury features. These technologies will influence key areas such as safety, comfort and entertainment. A delegation from the International Monetary Fund has arrived in Sri Lanka for conducting the third review of the island nation's financing program. The team, led by IMF Senior Mission Chief Peter Brewer, is expected to assess Sri Lanka's economic policies, progress on ongoing reforms and the implementation of previous agreements with the IMF. Upon successful completion of the review, the IMF is expected to release the next installment of the loan to Sri Lanka. IMF had approved a $2.9 billion extended fund facility available to Sri Lanka over a 48-month period in tranches to help its economy recover from the economic crisis. The island had witnessed an acute forex shortage in 2022, resulting in short supply of essentials which are imported by Sri Lanka. And now let's get you up to speed with some sporting action as well. Defending champions India will face Japan in the semi-finals of the Women's Asian Hockey Champions Trophy on Tuesday, while China will play third-placed Malaysia in the other last 4 game. Earlier, the women's hockey team beat Japan 3-0 in its final pool match on Sunday. Navneet Kaur broke the deadlock in the third quarter, while Deepika Kumari converted 2 penalty corners to secure a resounding win. India have finished at the top of the standings with a perfect record of 15 points from 5 matches. Meanwhile, Japan finished 4th with 5 points to take the last semi-final berth. The Indian men's football team will face Malaysia in a one-off international friendly match in Hyderabad on Monday. The match will be the 33rd meeting between the two Asian nations, with the first dating back to 1957. India have not played any other opponent on more occasions. As far as the head-to-head record is concerned, India and Malaysia have both won 12 matches each, while 8 have ended in draws. Malaysia won 4-2 when the two sides met the last time in the Merdeka Cup semi-finals in 2023. Manolo Marquez has taken over India's reins from the Igor Stymac after the Blue Tigers failed to qualify for round 3 of the FIFA World Cup 2026 qualifiers. Rohit Sharma will not be available to lead India in the first test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which starts on November 22 at the Optus Stadium in Perth. Rohit will join the India squad ahead of the second test, which is a day-night match, starting on December 6th in Adelaide. Vice-captain Jasprit Bumrah is set to lead India in Perth in Rohit's absence. Bumrah has led India in 1 test previously. The 5th test of the two-part 2021-22 tour of England at Edgbaston, when Rohit had tested positive for COVID-19. The invention of antimicrobial medications has been one of humankind's most incredible achievements, saving billions of lives. This single discovery has nearly doubled people's life expectancy. But antimicrobial resistance has grown into a major public health threat, causing multiple deaths per year. DD India's Preeti Kaur in this report explores the threat of this resistance.
As the world just manages to stabilize from the COVID pandemic, another global health threat has caught the attention of the nations, irrespective of boundaries and nationalities. Antimicrobial resistance is spreading at an alarming rate across the world. Antimicrobial resistance occurs when bacteria, viruses, and parasites no longer respond to antimicrobial agents. As a result of drug resistance, antibiotics and other antimicrobial agents become ineffective and infections become difficult or impossible to treat, increasing the risk of disease spread, severe illness, and deaths. Highlighting the devastating toll of AMR, that is around 1.3 million lives annually, Director General of WHO gave a sobering reality check at the 4th Global High-Level Ministerial Meeting on Antimicrobial Resistance in Jeddah.
Antimicrobial resistance may not seem as urgent as a pandemic, but it is just as dangerous. It threatens to unwind a century of medical progress and leave us defenseless against infections that today can be treated easily.
This global health concern impacts human and animal health, food production, and the environment. The Global Antimicrobial Resistance Awareness Week from November 18 to 24th seeks to raise awareness and understanding of the resistance and promote best practices among the stakeholders to reduce emergence and spread of drug-resistant infections. The theme for the week is Educate, Advocate, Act Now. It calls for relevant government departments, agencies, appropriate legislative bodies to come together in addressing this global threat. Preeti Kaur for DD India.
So that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.